Your homework in Chapter 5 is going to involve using the binomial distribution, and there are two ways you use it. You can use PHStat or you can do it directly on Excel, and I want to show you real quickly how we would do that. And I'm going to use the example problem on page 200 of your text, example problem 5.5. Let's set that problem up for a little bit. What they're saying is that a study was done and that Wendy's gets people's orders correctly 87.6% of the time. So they studied 3 people to find out, in their sample size of 3, did people indeed get their order correctly. So the binomials, how you figure that out, and we're going to use that now on PHStat. So I need to go to File and get my PHStat fired up. That's there. And it's going to ask me to enable the macros right there, and I get add-ins right there. Now I'm ready to go. So I want to find a binomial. It's going to be a probability distribution, so I go there and it comes up and it asks me, okay, what's your sample size? Well, it's going to be 3. We're asking 3 people. What's the probability of the event in question? 0.876 from the study that was done. I would like to see the outcomes from 0, 2, 3, and I say okay, and it's going to give me the answer. There is the probability table, and there's some information on standard deviation, variance, and so forth. So I went in with a sample size of 3. The probability of the event was 0.876. I got this table. First question they ask is, what's the chance that all 3 will get their order correctly of the sample? And the answer is 0.6722. Second question, what's the chance that no one of the 3 will get their order correct? And the answer is very small, 0.0019%, or 0.0019. That would be 0.19% of the people would not get their order correct when you interviewed them. All right, and then the last one they ask, a little bit tricky. It says, what's the chance that at least 2 will have their order correct? Well, at least 2 would include 2 and 3, so I would have to add these 2 together. Equals this one plus this one, and I get 0.9577. And you can look at the answers on 200 and 201. You can see that they're correct. Okay, so now how would we do it in Excel without the PHStat? We would make a table, successes, and hope I spelled that right, probability of. Now we're going to want to know 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those are the possibilities. We interview 3 people. Now I need to get the probability going here, so that will be the binomial. I'll go to the formulas, and I would normally have to look under statistical functions, but since I've already looked it up once, the binomial distribution shows up on my most recently used. But you may have to go to the statistical functions to find it in alphabetical order. So I say okay. And for the number of successes, I need to pick the first cell, move on to the number of trials. There are 3 of them. We're asking 3 times. The probability is 0.876. What the cumulative? Do I want this thing to come out in cumulative terms, each added to the next, or do I want them all to stand alone individually? Well, as you can see on the PHStat, they are not cumulative. They are individual probabilities for each integer. So that's what we're going to do here. So I would say false. I do not want you to do cumulative. And then I say okay. And there's the first table. Now what I need to do here is I can just double click that, and it takes it all the way down that formula. And as you can see, I have the exact same table here. I'm out 2 more decimal points, but it's the same table when all the things are rounded off. So I've done it using Excel only, and I would answer the questions in the same way that I did previously. One thing that I don't get, I have to make an extra calculation on, is I don't get the mean and the standard deviation. Alright, but to do that I just need to look at the formulas on page 200. The formula for the mean is the number of trials times the probability. Well, the number of trials is 3, and the probability is 0.876. Whoops, I didn't type that in right, so forgive me for that. 876, enter. and I get 2.628 for the mean, which you see matches up right there. The standard deviation. Now, the standard deviation is formula 513 on page 200. To get the standard deviation, it is the square root. Let's just say here deviation. Okay, it is the square root. So let's just go here, type in SQ, and it'll bring up a menu, square root. That's the one I want right there, square root. It is the square root of the number of the sample times its probability, which is 0.876, times the quantity 1 minus 0.876. Now I have 2 left parentheses and only 1 right, so I need to add another right one to make the parentheses equal, and I get that answer 0.7085. When you round it off, you get the same answer, 0.709. So that is how you would do a binomial problem in Excel, using Excel. And of course I showed you earlier how to do it in PHStat. Not a whole lot different, just a little bit more work doing it directly into Excel. So I hope this helps you, and if you have any questions, of course, you can reach me on the forum. Thanks.